Science tells us that the sun is 93 million miles away from the Earth. The Earth, which is a spinning ball, a round sphere spinning 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, which creates the illusion that the sun is traveling across the sky. I contend that that is actually what is occurring, that the sun is traveling across the sky, and it is a very local phenomena. This filter that was put on this film as I made it, well, it revealed quite a few things, actually. The main one being it shows how localized the sunlight is to these clouds. Now, the things you're seeing right there, that was a fishing line being cast out. There was a day at the coast here, and I was filming, and through some filtration here, it looks like nighttime, but it isn't. It is daytime, bright daytime. I just was trying to reduce the glare and resulted with a very interesting display of the close sun. It is not far away. It is immediately local. Okay, let's start looking. As you see, it is shining on top of that cloud that looks like Falcor the Dragon from Neverending Story. You see it travel. As the sun goes away there, it kind of travels down in the sky. But what that is just like that jet trail. It looks like it's traveling down the sky. It's perspective. It's going across the sky into the distance. You see it way over here? Perspective. That's what causes it. It's just like looking down the railroad tracks. As they disappear into your limit of your vision, they look like they're converging into a point, but they never do. Now, another thing to notice as it shines down on that contrail that appeared, you see that little blinking that occurs? I will give you that would be the sun going behind, which causes that darkness. But explain how something 93 million miles away, that is at this moment, supposed to be covering half of the Earth with sunlight. That's the only way that can work, is if it's covering half the Earth with sunlight at one time, 93 million miles away. How is that being dimmed by that little chemtrail in the sky there? You see the dimming occur. How's that happening? It's not possible if that's really 93 million miles away. Not only that, if you look below the actual cloud, you see in the sky itself the rays of the sun. See that? It's almost a shadow of that. It is, my goodness. It is the shadow of that chemtrail being cast either into the lens of the camera, into the sky itself, but you see it underneath as it passes through the little gap. The sunlight passes through that gap beneath. Okay, let me show you. See it? It's going to pass under here. Watch. Dim, and then the shadow. Dim, and then the shadow. Now watch the clouds behind the sun. You see them being lit up from behind, right? That's not in front of the sun. Because if it was in front of the sun, like the chemtrail is at this moment, then it would be being lit up like the chemtrail is being lit up from the front area. I'm sorry. The chemtrail is being lit from behind. You see it on the edge going towards the sun. And you see as I scroll back and forth, that cloud behind it being revealed as the sun gets closer to it, which is behind it, right there. I'll go away, and there it is. Now, let's watch it again. Go through the chemtrail. Now you see it? All on those clouds. Lighten up the clouds behind it, there. Lighting up clouds below it and behind it, there. Passing the chemtrail, shining lights through the gaps in the chemtrail, which is pretty incredible, I think. The shadow in the gap. Burning a hot spot immediately on that cloud as it passes through that hole, which is again revealing the sunlight through it. Look, you see the sunlight as it goes through the hole? How can that happen from 93 million miles away? A hole that big cannot lend something the size of what we're told the sun is from 93 million miles away. You see it shining underneath those clouds, right? As it burns a hot spot through the cloud, it dims through the cloud, shining light upwards towards clouds above it. How can clouds be above the sun 93 million miles away? You see the light shining on those clouds. Now I know, oh, it's a ball and the angles and I'm sorry. There is no way that half the earth is being lit by that sun, but it can refract in such a way to shine a hot spot above and below those clouds just like that, just as though it were a local light shining as it passes under those clouds, again lighting them up from below. Now, there's your refraction. If you look way to the right on the screen, there's your refraction. Here, I'll show you. Right in here it happens. Watch. Oops. See, that is refraction. That is true refraction occurring. As it passes that local side of the cloud, it refracts to those clouds. Way to the right. Local. That is local. I'm sorry. It lights up from beneath. Wow, look as it passes through those. Underneath, stretching out because of the distance, burning a hot spot under the cloud. Hot spot under the cloud. And then into the distance. Never going below the surface. Flattening out, yes, but never going below the surface. Now, watch as I drag it back towards you. Did you see as it traveled across the sky at you and away from you? And look at the size. Look at this size. Oops. Well, I don't know what I did now. There we go. Still learning all this stuff. Little. And then when it got up to here, it was big. Something 93 million miles away should stay consistently the same size all the way across its travel until it got to the horizon, at which point it should appear half and then a sliver and then go away. But that's not what we see happening, because the Earth isn't rotating and the Sun isn't 93 million miles away. Oh, this worked a while ago. There it is. Okay, as we see, towards you, away from you, towards you, away from you, towards you, away from you. Alright, let's address one more thing now, shall we? Let's watch this contrail. This contrail, which we did see that day. We were out there barbecuing as I was making this video. We had binoculars. We were looking at the sky, looking at the clouds, watching birds, watching boats. Boats that were visible even though they were 15 miles away with binoculars on a flat horizon. Alright, now here comes the contrail. Watch as it travels in a smooth, straight line. You can't really see the jet. There's the first little break, but it doesn't change. You see the straight line as it travels towards the sun. It doesn't start and stop. It's a consistent jet propulsion system guiding that chemtrail machine across the sky, that jet. You see that first little break, it just stopped spraying for a moment. Now it's going to come on through the corona area there of the sun. It's going to keep showing through the little edge, a little glare there. It's still putting out its trail as it travels off into the distance. Even though it looks like it's traveling down the sky, that is perspective. It's just like when you stand on a long stretch of road and you look at the telephone poles, and even though they're all the same height and the same measurements, they were all built to the exact same specifications, as you look at them in the distance going down that road, it looks like each one is getting progressively shorter and shorter and smaller and tinier. That is your visual perspective. As your visual perspective disappears into the limit of your vision, it's like a pyramid. It's like you're looking down, like a pyramid laying on its side, and you're looking up into the top of the pyramid. That's how your vision disappears into the distance. Well, that's why all these things are angling down the sky. They're going away from us. Alright, you watch that jet travel as I yapped on and on. Now, there's going to be something that's going to appear somewhere in this little area. Well, there we go. Now, just watch as it appears. And it's not going to travel like that little jet is still traveling off into the distance. It's going to travel quite different. And I want you to watch, there it is, as it inchworms its way across the screen, heading to the sun. It almost makes a shadow in the corona. See that little darkness around the corona area? As it inchworms its way organically towards the sun. Now it's going to travel across the sun. As it enters at about the 9 o'clock position there, it's going to come out at about the 4 o'clock position. I guess with filters, maybe a different filter, there'd be a way to see it on the face of the sun here, but unfortunately I don't have that ability. I'm still learning all this, as you see. But as it comes out at the 4 o'clock position, it's going to still be traveling in that little inchwormy kind of way. It's going to come down below the sun, look about 4 o'clock, be waiting for it. It's really bright in that area, almost where that little sunbeam is coming out at the 4 o'clock position. If you look at the sun like it's a clock face, 4 or 5 o'clock, there you go, 5 o'clock, I apologize. So there it came out through, you see it still sending something forward and pulling the rest behind. I really don't know how to explain it. Like an inchworm, that's really the only way I can explain it. And it's still going as it goes underneath, I guess, that cloud, and goes into the distance, same direction. I guess that chemtrail is going. We'll watch it as long as it's on there. And certainly you're welcome to rewind and watch it over and over. Not really sure. Never saw it that day. Might not have seen it if I wasn't trying to catch this video. But there it is. Definitely an interesting day at the beach. I'm going to rewind that real quick. I wanted to show you one more thing. You see that little light going through the trail again? Wow. And look as the light rolls off. Okay, the light is lighting up the chemtrail from behind, underneath, at the bottom. Now as it goes under it and through it, The light rolls off of the chemtrail as if it was a local light. Look at the chemtrail darken from the left to the right. Around it, left to the right. The darkness there, you see it? From the left to the right. As it travels locally, not 93 million miles away. All right, thank you very much for watching. Keep exploring. The truth is out there.